Disclaimer, this wild idea started out as a hobby. I am not responsible for any lost time or revenue you may encounter by building this cool gadget or the never-ending excitement you might encounter during its use. The world looks different at night. What's going on, YouTube? Before we go any further, I'm going to give a huge thank you to a YouTube channel who has no idea I exist. That's VONSCHERFARMS. They created something called PVS69. Thanks. So before we go ahead and introduce you to what I would call my emergency shit hits the fan night vision, I'm going to let you know that this is not a PVS14. A PVS14 in absolute low light conditions will walk all over this all day long. But we don't all have the $4,000 it costs to get a PVS14. How do I know that it'll walk all over it? I used to be in the military, reconnaissance soldier, PVS14, PVS7, Noddler, Coyote Servop, RWS, that was my jam. This is not that. What I'm going to give you guys is an emergency shit hits the fan night vision kit for under $300. Now, you do have to have a 3D printer, or you have to know somebody gets a 3D printer in this day and age. Not a big deal. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to break all this stuff down. I'm going to show you it running. I'm going to show you what's in my kit. I'm going to show you how it was all put together. I'm going to give you a wiring diagram and a parts list. Everything you need to know, hopefully, under about 12 minutes. So I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Let's get into it. Alright, so right here I've got a satchel that my wife made me. Check her out on Facebook, Mel's Custom Creations. It's a waterproof bag that I use to tote the stuff around in. So here's the night vision monocular and the eyepiece with the mount attached, ready to go. An IR light for a camera. I believe I bought it off of Amazon for roughly $25-30. It's got two different modes. You only have to do this when there's zero ambient light. PVS14 won't work without ambient light. A 5-volt output USB battery pack that you can pretty much charge anywhere. Again, the system will run off of 5 volts regardless of where it comes from. Just make sure that it is regulated at 5 volts. Okay, now let's talk about the unit itself. If you don't want other people seeing your location, it is a good idea to use the eyepiece so that your eye doesn't light up like a giant halo. Like I said, PVS14 will walk all over this, and if you're emitting light, it will see you from a considerable distance. Here's the power cord. It's long enough to reach around to the back of the helmet that I use to mount this on. Again, when you create yours, you can decide what you want to do for battery options. The rear diopter is adjustable. The front lens, this isn't the stock lens that came with the Runcam Night Eagle 3. This mount here was a solution to a problem I was having with adjustment from my face. Now, what I did was I 3D printed and designed this so that it actually forces those two bars out a little bit to provide resistance so it doesn't flop around. Simpler is better, especially when shit is hitting the fan and you don't want to screw around or risk something breaking. It does take a fair bit of force to move that back and forward. And I'm going to show you guys the camera lens that came with the Night Eagle 3 versus the one I bought. Again, the bigger the lens, the more light the CMOS sensor is going to capture. Moving on. Note: filmed with an iPhone 14 Pro, which already has excellent night vision abilities, so the actual ambient light during the comparisons is much lower than I can convey to you. Pay attention to the distances with the NVG versus without.
There is zero IR illumination whatsoever. Now, the camera can do black and white mode. Something freaking out in the woods over there. Now, if you look up at the moon, it does look pretty bright. Now, you'll notice I'm filming this with my phone, so if there's any kind of glitch after the fact. And look at my shadow, okay? Let's walk over to the car.
Yeah.
you guys can sort of see the field with no definition whatsoever. Okay, there is a place beyond the horizon. So you guys can see the field. You can tell there's a obvious horizon there, but you can't see what's on it, on the field, or any sort of depth. Let's move the night vision camera up in front. Super useful for when you need to locate the low ground, find yourself a position to take cover, or know exactly what's coming at you. See that dark feature on the left just over the mirror? You can't see it there. That could have been a person.
Five millimeter T-nuts, like you find with your 3D printer, you'll need 2 of them. Then you're going to need an airsoft mount. Again, this is just for emergencies. You're going to need a larger lens. Well, you don't need it. I just bought it. You're going to need 5 millimeter by 40 panhead bolts, a battery pack, 5 volt USB, the display V760A-3. It's for FPV drone, and the Runcam Night Eagle 3 FPV Starlight drone camera. And again, this costs less than $300. Okay, we're going to take it apart. Let's figure out what's going on inside here. You've got your 2 panhead bolts, your 5 millimeter by 40s. Take those out of the size, the housing. This is how you adjust your side-to-side eye relief. Okay, you just put a shim in there to move it away from the center, or if you have to, remove material from the mount. Okay, this is a coarse thread wood screw. If you don't have one, go take one on your baseboard trim or something somewhere. It threads into the plastic quite well. Avoid using a nutsert. Okay, then we just take the top off here to expose the guts. Again, this isn't waterproof, but in an emergency, it could be. Just slather it with some kind of silicone all the way around. There's one of your T-nuts. Again, I just glued it on the inside so that it, when I put the bolt in, it doesn't fall into the inside of the housing. Okay, when you've got it apart, this is a good time to program it. I'll have the settings up for you later on in the video. Okay, unscrew your aftermarket lens. It literally just threads out of the CMOS sensor, lefty loosey, righty tighty. Okay, there you can see that beautiful backlit Starlight sensor. Super powerful, 2 megapixel. This is the original lens. Again, like I said, a bigger eyeball captures more light. It's a no-brainer. Also, the lens I bought is telescopic, so you can zoom in and zoom out. Now, there's screws that came with the Night Eagle sensor. I'm just taking those out of the mount. Don't lose them. They're super important. Once you got your screws out, you'll be able to push your Night Eagle sensor rearwards. Just not the greatest with these tiny little screws, so it's taking me a second here. And again, they are super tiny. Now, the sensor should just wiggle out the back, and there's a giant jumble of wiring here. I promise you, it's not as bad as it looks. I've had this thing apart 100 times. Later on, I'm going to show you exactly what the wiring is for that. Flip this piece around if you want to switch from your left eye to your right eye. Pretty straightforward. Because this is an analog camera, there is no lag during its operation. Follow this wiring diagram. Important note, to avoid overload and permanent damage to the camera or display, use only a 5 volt USB battery pack. The battery pack regulates the output voltage for you. Remember to set up your camera using your control pad before fully assembling it. Various different settings and setups can be found around YouTube and Google. The 2 holes on the top of the eyepiece are to facilitate the use of the drone FPV head-worn strap if you would like it. Now, thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to hit the like, comment, ask your questions, and maybe even consider subscribing, because I'm a pretty cool, smart dude, and I'm going to teach you how to take care of yourself when the shit hits the fan.